Well, we can't just give up that easily, right? I mean, if you watched the last video or the video before that, here we are with the BFG 9060. And yeah, despite all of the amazing efforts, the 68060 repaired CPU that just doesn't work. Now, turns out that 68060, you know, the one right there with my giant finger pointing at it, is a Rev 1. And this card only works with like Rev 5, Rev 6. You know, I know I keep saying RC1, RC5 in my videos, by the way. I apologize. I'm sorry. I know it's Rev, but it's so easy to say RC because, you know, RC, I guess, is how you know it's an FPU 060, right? LCs don't have FPUs, RCs do. So I just keep calling them, you know, RC1, RC5 is kind of a shortcut to let people know that it's the FPU version. My 1200 over here has an 060 in it as well. I always thought it was a Rev 1. It does run really cool. Somebody had mentioned to me in the comments in another video that I did that because it was a Rev 1, it would be too hot to run in the 1200 and wouldn't work. But this one never got that hot. So I went ahead and launched Amiga Shell and went up and did the CPU command. And lo and behold, it's a Rev 5.
There is another.
So, this isn't over. You know what I'm going to do, don't you? Yep. Let's get to it.
This computer will rule the world.
Okay, so the first thing we need to do is try and get this 060 out of this BFG. Now, this was a repair. This was missing pins and had bent pins. And one of the first things I was told, don't ever try to remove the CPU. Yeah, but that's what we have to do. But I'm going to do this first because if this leaves pins trapped in the socket, that's a whole nother fiasco I'm going to have to deal with. But we want to do this first before I bother going to the 1200 and trying to yank it out over there. So I'm going to use my trusty LTT screwdriver with its super tiny bit. And we are going to be doing the lovely stick it under and twist. No pry, don't ever pry, twist. Just slowly and carefully going around the outer edge here and doing the twist motion to slowly get the chip to rise and hopefully not leave any pins behind. Oh yes, it'll be great. So I'm going to do this and you can watch with me, but I'm of course going to fast forward through most of the grief. All right, so I think we may have gotten it. Now to inspect and see if we left any pins behind. So I've done a careful examination here. Not sure how well this is going to show up, but through the miracle of 1080p YouTube video, maybe you can see there. It looks like we're good. You can see Chris Edwards' lovely repair here. The pins seem to all be intact. More importantly, none of them smushed down. So that's good. We don't want to kill this because one of the things we're going to do is put this CPU into the 1200's TF1260, which does work with R1s, or Rev 1s, yes. So yeah, this looks really good. And now to repeat the same process on the TF1260 with its Rev 5 68060. Again, using the same careful twisting motion. And it looks like we got good success here. Yep. Ooh, yeah. Okay. So what we will do is go ahead and just verify this BFG working. Because we know we have a known working 68060 in here. So we got to put it in here. All right, so regardless of what the label, how it's printed, you always want to look for the missing pin in the corner. And that's going to go to the missing pin in the socket right there. See it there? Make sure those are lined up. And then you'll be good to go. Now this one should be fairly straightforward because it is a perfectly fine original pin CPU. Probably going to have to do this off camera though, so I apologize. All right, I've got the initial, insertion there. I can use an Amiga World here. Beautiful issue of Amiga World. How appropriate. Maybe another beautiful issue of Amiga World, even more appropriate, to try and give this a level platform to press down on. And let me just make sure again that all of our pins are correctamundo. Nothing's, yeah, nobody's doing anything janky there. Okay. All right. You don't have to go, gorilla on it. Just once it's lined up, especially with these newer sockets with the round holes, and I think maybe they are all round holes. I forget. So that's in there. It's in there good, nice and level. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and reinsert this BFG 9060 into the 4000. And don't forget, I'm going to have to switch those jumpers back to internal from external. Editor Q here. So I lost the footage of me powering up the Amiga 4000 and it worked. Yeah. So, oops. And I was just going to go ahead and just toss up a sysinfo screen here. It works, folks. The Rev 5 in the 4000 BFG works. Okay, so we had great success with the Rev 5 68060 from the 1200 installed into the BFG 060, as you saw, booted great. I'll, of course, run a full Lightwave benchmark on that to make sure it's really happy, but hey, it booted up, everything's working, hard drive. The Retina card not working is probably because I need to install the 68060 library files. That 4000 has a default Workbench 3.2.1 install, which means because it only had the 040 in it. So I probably need to go in there and just reinstall the MMU libs and do the 060, and I'm sure the Retina will come back up. And if it doesn't come back up, if there's just an incompatibility with the Retina card and 060, well, I can live with that. So here is the repaired 060. This is the questionable one. This is the one that's going to be, oh boy, I need to be extremely careful installing this because there's some really fragile pins here that were twisted and folded over. So let's get to this. Remember, missing pin to missing pin notch. Oh my goodness, here we go. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh my goodness. And what you're doing when you do this, you're not forcing anything. With these pins, don't try and, especially with repaired pins, don't try and slide it around and force pins in. Just, you want to kind of wiggle coax it really, really gently so that they naturally fall into the holes. And what I'm doing is I'm like looking down. I've got my glasses on, my Zoomy glasses, and I'm looking down through this to make sure that everyone is finding a home. So I'm going to go ahead and start putting pressure down. All right. It actually went in pretty easily. And I'm looking for the telltale crushed pin, folded over bent pin that decided not to play nicely. And am I seeing that? Answer is no, I'm not seeing that. So back over to the 1200. All right, so we've got the 060 reinstalled in the 1200 to see if it works. If it works, then you know what? This is the greatest day in the world. We've utilized 2 of the 060 chips. One, yeah, the R5 that's going to be great in the 4000, and then the R1 that will be in the 1200, which may indeed get too hot. I may have to figure out a solution for that, but let's see if it even works, considering how much of a disaster that chip was when I sent it off to Chris Edwards and he did his awesome repair on it. It would really be a shame to lose another 060. Oh my goodness, oh goodness, oh my god, freak out, cut away, cut. Happy, happy, joy, joy, 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 happy, happy, joy, happy, 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 joy. Oh my goodness. There you go. 68060, Rev 1. Plain as day right there. Boom. What I am going to do, though, is immediately torture test it by loading up Lightwave. You madman Q, you just put this in here and warned us that the R1 gets too hot. Yes, 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 I did. All right, I think the scene is already prepped, which is why there's a version 2 of it. And yeah, it is. So let's just go ahead and press F9. Look at her go. It's not locking up. That's a good sign. Well, see, folks, you just have to have a little patience, right? All doom and gloom in the last video, kind of bummed out that we lost another 060 chip, but no, we didn't. We just needed to use the correct 060 chip in the correct cards. And the fact that this R5 was in this 1200 all this time, which I didn't think it was, that's great. And now I've got the repaired Chris Edwards R1 in the 1200, and look, it's rendering. It's not locking up, it's not crashing. And I don't feel the keyboard melting or getting too hot yet. Obviously, you would need to do much more rendering than this to really test it, but beautiful, 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 beautiful. Oh my gosh, that is so awesome. Oh, there it is. Amiga 4000 with like 150 megs of RAM and a 68060. Amiga 1200 with like 132 megs of RAM and a 68060. And Amiga 3000 with 128 megs of RAM and a 68060. I just really appreciate this all working, and now I've got these 3 super duper Lightwave machines, and I know I'm insane for trying to do Lightwave on these when I have an AMD 64 thread Threadripper behind me. But no, this is awesome. I love it, and I'm not forgetting you, 2500 in the corner with your 28 megahertz 68040. You're awesome too, man. Don't let these other Amigas get on you or bring you down, all right? Okay, that's it, folks. We got them both up and running. Thanks for watching. I'm done with this video.